You're on mute, by the way, Heiner. Heiner, you're still on mute in case you're talking.
Oh, I'm muted. Please send me the direct Zoom link. I didn't send it to Franz yet.
Okay, let me give it to you in the chat.
Yes, please.
Okay, it's in the chat.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Just a minute. I'm still multimodal.
Multitasking.
Yes, I got it.
Das könnte idealerweise vielleicht zwischen 1943 und 1945 geschehen, aber vielleicht gibt es auch eine Chance, genau das früher, vielleicht nämlich in den letzten Jahren, die Preise unter günstigen eigenen Voraussetzungen. Lambert, der Oberbefehlshaber des Heeres, Werner von Fritsch und Außenminister Konstantin von Neu.
Okay, I got it. I just talked to Franz again today, and I told him that you even know Acrosanti, and that you should start very deep and steep and terse, maybe just 10 or 15 minutes, and then a few questions and answers. But he has limited time. Directly after our session, maybe after 30 minutes or 40 minutes, he has to run away or drive somewhere.
Okay. Now, how did you describe this group to him?
Not really. But I told him it's something I'm involved with 70 and more years. And these are all senior people. And you shouldn't introduce the group, maybe yourself, in 1 or 2 sentences. And everybody who is there. And he should really start immediately, because he's really, as always, these people are very busy.
Okay.
So let's see. Who is there?
Right now, it's just the two of us.
Okay. So I go to the other machine. Oh, there he is. What's that audio? He is calling me on audio. Haben wir es inzwischen?
Okay, is that him?
Sam.
Dorfuni? Yes? Heiner, can you hear me?
Yes.
Me too.
Okay. So is this yes, there you go. How do I pronounce this? Dorfuni?
Yeah,
Ye-
that's me.
Okay, all right. Good to meet you, Franz.
Okay,
Hello.
so briefly say something about you before other people are coming.
Wait, are you talking to
Okay.
me or Franz?
No, I mean Sam.
Oh, me. Okay. Very brief, less than 1 minute, okay? This is a forum that we have been doing since October of 2017. So we're going into our, what, 9th year of doing this? So we meet every Saturday and Sunday now at 8 o'clock Pacific time. And the forum was set up in order to respond to a nonprofit proposal, basically a request for proposal from the Global Challenges Foundation in Sweden. And that was to propose new ways that we can manage ourselves so that the world may survive. And the theme that we hit on is we need to be able to listen better. It seems simple, but I don't think it's that simple. And so out of this has come a field of research that I have named tongue in cheek collaborology, which is how do we successfully scale collaboration? Okay. Now, two lists have come out of this. Okay. When smart people get together and try to collaborate, many times they don't do so. And so, one list of issues I call smart people problems. This is why smart people cannot get together and collaborate. The second list is called dumb people problems. Okay. These are just obvious, simple skills that you just cannot believe that people don't do. So, anyway, those are tongue in cheek lists that I keep. Now, this particular meeting is focused on this theme. The theme is how do we apply rational thinking, mathematical thinking, scientific systems, and model based thinking to problems and beliefs that are commonly held that are not typically questioned, you know. So we like to look at things and really double click into them and see, do they really make sense? So typically politics comes up a lot. Religion comes up a lot. And let's see who just joined us. Who was that? Heiner. Oh, that's you again, Heiner. Okay. So anyway, that's that. I myself am a retired software professional. And so I spend some of my time doing this and much of my time taking care of 2 dogs and 1 cat. And I live on the west coast of the United States, Pacific time zone in Washington State. I don't know if you've ever been there. Okay. So sorry for going longer than Heiner asked, but I thought each of those points was relevant and possibly something you might find worthy to either consider or dismiss. Okay, I'm done. Thanks.
So then briefly introduce who will be coming. Oh, it's Kayla. Kayla is also coming.
Okay.
But do it really short because
okay. All right.
when
all right.
the introductions are done, he has to do his thing and he has to leave.
Okay. All right. So the typical attendees, people who come here, are a fellow named Jack. He's in Southern California. He's again a software professional, and he and I both know Doug Engelbart, the inventor of the mouse, the inventor of word processing, the inventor of outline processing.
I knew him
Okay.
also.
Very good, excellent. I'd like to hear those stories. Okay, and then a fellow named Eric, who is actually on the East Coast of the United States, and he is into software but also music. And he has a couple of groups that he actually is the music director for. And Kayla is from Southern California, and she is a nonprofit organization development director. So she's worked for a lot of places that support a lot of good causes, people in need, people with minority backgrounds. And Kayla is here, so she can actually introduce herself. And then there's a handful of other people that might come. But anyway, those are the most probable attendees. And if others come, then we can introduce them at that time.
Well, maybe
Kayla?
the guy from SRI a little bit more, because he's also into environment and many other issues regarding community building and education.
Okay, so I figured Jack could be able to do that as well. So Jack, didn't I mention Jack already? Did I not mention Jack?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Anyway, Jack is also a Doug Engelbart devotee, also from software. And he and I both have GIS backgrounds. And he and I both have some background in AI and symbolic processing as well. And as Heiner mentioned, he's currently in Southern California, but used to work at SRI. Over. Now, Kayla
He is also
here.
with me in the Millennium Project since the very beginning, opening nodes and being in various nodes, really a global fellow, even worse than me.
Okay.
All right. So, Franz, since we want you to sort of go unimpeded, how about Kayla? I'll give a quick personal introduction, and then Heiner, you can then direct it from there. How's that?
Okay.
Okay. Hi, I'm Kayla. I live in Ventura County here in California, Southern California, just like what Sam said. I am a development director for a nonprofit organization that advocates for children who have mental health needs and trauma. So we deal with families raising those children, whether they're, the original parents, foster caregivers. So there's a lot there. I've worked for a lot of nonprofits, including the American Red Cross, and a lot of social serving nonprofits. So I've worked primarily with marginalized communities, a lot of, people of color. I've worked with Home for Abused Women and Children. And I am a single mom. So I don't have my camera on because I'm usually multitasking in the space. And I do what I can for humanity, for my kids, for the community, but there's just one of me, and I'm balancing all of this. So it's really nice to see you in this space, and I am looking forward to hearing what you have to say.
Oh, one thing before you take it, Heiner, is Kayla also has an extensive dance background, including teaching various different dance groups. Just mentioning the arts, I believe that you're into film. I also am a violinist, and I used to direct a children's orchestra, and I've been in various different symphonic orchestras. And so there's that artistic aspect that I wanted to bring out with both Kayla and myself. Over.
And I'm not familiar with Doug Engelbart. I don't know half of the people that these guys talk about. And it's probably because I'm a good 20 plus years younger than everybody. So.
All right. Thanks, Kayla.
I know you're muted.
Who, me?
Heiner. No, Heiner is muted.
Oh, Heiner.
Sam is also a Tai Chi master and also a global software guy. And I feel I will just make sure that you start. And if you want to show slides, then Sam is the right people to moderate. And you just say how long you want to talk, and then you go.
Okay. Well, I don't show slides. I just tell a story. And especially also for Kayla, because I only met Douglas Engelbart once in my life, but it changed my life. It totally changed my life. It was in the year 1990 when I was waiting for the Apple Developer Conference, spent some time in Palo Alto, and I walked around in Stanford University. And then I saw the name Douglas Engelbart. And you have to know, uh, Douglas Engelbart was famous for many reasons. One of that reasons was that he was one of the pioneers of what we call hypertext. So this idea to organize information according to the human mind, that was just getting traction with Apple rolling out HyperCard 3 years before that. So HyperCard was my baby in Austria. I was the Austrian HyperCard person. I was the supporter of many, many people who developed whatever they wanted with this new software and information erector kit. So here I am in Stanford at Sweet Hall, and I see the name Douglas Engelbart. Okay, I said, this is the opportunity I do not want to miss. So I knock on the door, talk to his secretary, get a date, get an appointment 1 day later, 2 days later. And then he really, really receives me in a very friendly way. You know, I am a sociologist by studies, and you could imagine a sociologist who recently discovered the enormous potential of technologies, communication technologies, and all that stuff. Comes to the godfather, comes to the Pope of Silicon Valley. For me, it was clear this guy was the one that started it all, yeah, with the mother of all demos. He gave the role model to Steve Jobs, to everybody, and he did it earlier than anybody else. He applied these ideas already in the 60s and 70s on mainframe computers. Yeah, the personal computer didn't even exist, but he foresaw that it would be a tool that had to be adapted to the human needs. So he created these three things: Windows, hyperlinks, and the mouse. Yeah, these were the trinity of linking humans to computer. And of course, with hyperlinks came this idea that you create an information world that is held together by a web of associations. Yeah, so we have an associative mind, and Engelbart was the one who wanted to put this into the computer, help us to bring out the libraries of our mind into this electronic device, so to say. Yeah, the way we think should also be the one that a computer thinks, that a computer should help us, in Engelbart's terms, to augment, to become much more sophisticated, yeah, in the way we think. Yeah, he wanted to build the ultimate think tool. So that was his history. And when I met him, you know, I almost was so small. You know, I said, "Okay, excuse me for being alive. I'm just a sociologist." You know, yeah. Can you imagine this? You know, I meet this great engineer, great STEAM person. You know, and here I am from the humanities. And what happened was interesting, and it really changed the course of my life, because I was very unsatisfied with the humanities in Europe. I said they are beyond this world. They do not help to improve anything. They're just looking from the ivory tower perspective, from the prognosis or what statistics and things like that, but they do not help us build a better world. So Douglas Engelbart just said, "Are you crazy? You are a very important person in the game." And he introduced me to his approach to do science, to do research, and especially development. He said, if you really want to see it, go down to the Institute for the Research on Learning down in Palo Alto. There you'll see it. I went down there because I wanted to understand it from firsthand, yeah. And the idea of Douglas Engelbart is in one word. That's also the title of his institute, bootstrap. You know, the way you, this famous guy puts himself up in the air by tearing his bootstraps, you know. So, but this image, yeah, of something that starts itself, that is not dependent on an external axioma, dogma, something like that, but it is something that comes out of the process. This is expressed by the title bootstrap. So bootstrap is a strategy where you, like in the Native American medicine wheel, yeah, you put in different perspectives from different angles. And no one as the owner of the higher truth. So when I arrived down there in Palo Alto, I saw that they treated the kids with the utmost respect, you know. That was really interesting because they said, well, we don't know how the future of electronic learning will look like, and maybe the children will come up with the ultimate answer. So you do not know which perspective holds the ultimate truth. Probably only the interplay of perspectives leads us to a good solution, a solution that incorporates all the needs of the participating circle. So in a way, he was an engineer, but he had discovered a social technology, I would say. Yeah, this idea of bootstrapping was basically social technology, and and he said you can apply it to everything because every problem that we have to solve involves a lot of social perspectives. Okay, that's to cut the story short. I was really overwhelmed by this approach. It's totally different from the hierarchical, specialized, compartmentalized approach that you have in the traditional academia. So I learned a lot from him, but at the very end, he told me, don't be afraid to go against the current. Don't be afraid to not become a specialized sociologist, rather a mediator between perspectives. Yeah? But one thing is so crucial when you do that. You have to know what you want to create with this process, not in all the details, but you have to have an idea, a vision that brings everybody together. So, and that explains who I am. I told Douglas Engelbart, you know, I made a very, very horrible experience in my life. I found paradise just to see how people abandon it. I went to Greek islands. I saw these beautiful villages, and I saw the young people running away because no jobs, a lot of pressure, social pressure from the traditions and things like that. No outlook, no global perspective, nothing. And so I said to Douglas Engelbart, what about if I dedicated a research institute to the question how to build a village, or maybe many villages that take full advantage of the new communication technology and still are embedded in this beautiful web of life that I considered the true paradise. Because Greek villages are embedded in nature. They're incredibly healthy. Yeah, they're incredibly energizing. So I said, how can we bring these two worlds together? And he said, there you go. That's your task for the rest of your life. Okay, that's it.
Thank you. I never heard Douglas Engelbart explained like that in this space, so I appreciate you. That was great. Thank you.
And now it's your time. It starts now. What is the Global Village movement? and what is give, and how
Okay.
much time do you have? I put a clock here. 20 minutes, half an hour?
No, 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Okay. So I think we are in a convergence of many, many things. Marshall McLuhan said, in the age of total globalization, something becomes totally important again, locality, where you are. Because now you have access to the knowledge and abilities of the whole world. But where do you put it all together? Where do you create a physical reality? Now we have not only communication technologies, we have production technologies, we have fabrication technologies, we have new insights in energy. We can harvest the energy from the sun. We have permaculture, new agricultural technologies. We have all kind of like aquaculture, all this the way that we harvest fish uh, from a circular process, and also tomatoes and things like that, like John Stott did, all these things. All technologies are converging to allow us to stay local and not compromise our quality of life. So I call this an opportunity to recreate the village at a global a global standard of knowledge and information and wisdom. So it's a radical plan for decentralization. Maybe Kohr and Schumacher, uh, uh, people from Germany and Austria who coined the phrase "small is beautiful." It is about the idea that this is also the ideal solution for many of our political and social problems. Getting into a smaller community-shaped environment and only network from the bottom up if there are larger questions to solve. It's an antithesis even to the national state, to the empires that exist nowadays. It's a how should I say, not only social, it's a political cultural movement that supports that we all are not confining ourselves, but we're concentrating, focusing on one habitat, and we link like-minded people around the world. So Jeffrey Redger, the filmmaker who did this fantastic Koyaanisqatsi and other movies with the music of Philip Glass, yeah, I met him once, and he gave me one mantra. He said, from the global village, which is this sphere that Marshall McLuhan said, yeah, that everything is so close to each other, you have to feel it's happening just in your village. From the global village to a globe of villages. And that is my mantra. And I'm working on that, creating an educational system that will allow people to really have a complete and filling life in their local sphere of living, travel if they wish, but they never have to commute anymore if we really have this circular, complex organism that feeds us, that houses us, that inspires us every day. So village for me, and Heiner said, maybe you know Arcosanti. I spent several years revisiting Paolo Soleri in Arcosanti, because this is a kind of sort of similar idea. Although Paolo was always dreaming of large arcologies, but it was so fantastic to see the look and feel of these 5,000 people, yeah, of this small town arcology, and understand that with the power of global communication, we could even reduce it to 500, and it would still be complete, because we are all connected around the world with all the knowledge and abilities that we want to bring into our local sphere. And we don't need that much emphasis on cars and any other energy consuming technology. Thank you.
So my intention was Franz is for me really local villages, but deep technology. And I try local. So I also very much look into the local, but as a town and state planner, also taking on the regional and global scales and trying to do this empowerment like the American Indians do in a circle. And there is no one owning a higher stand, but we can share the going to the mountains, Petrarca, or climbing a tree to really come across the barriers of languages, mindsets, all these barriers we create, and they are not part of nature, like to a higher adult state. So I would like to give the floor now to Sam. He is back. Sam, do a little discussion. I don't want to be the talker today.
Heiner, you don't get off that easy, okay? You are the intermediary between us, and you certainly have a lot of the connections and possible focus points. But, Franz, when I heard you talk, I said we have to talk for many sessions and many hours. There are many interesting topics here because, as a technologist, one of the choices I had to make here was, and this goes all the way back to Doug, okay? Doug knows that there are a lot of people who see what value represented in his thinking, what value is represented in his thinking, and clearly there's value there because each person comes and says, oh, the mouse, let me go create a company of that, let me make billions of dollars. Oh, Windows, let me create that technology, let me go make billions of dollars. Oh, multimedia, let me create a company, let me go make billions of dollars. Okay. So Doug said too many people just understood a sliver of his vision and they went off and did that one sliver, but they didn't understand the bigger picture, which is how do we actually talk
Absolutely.
to each other? How do we collaborate? How do we build a knowledge base? How do we refine ideas? How do we actually take a hypothesis and say, oh, well, I used to believe that, but now I believe this? And how do you do that in a way that doesn't destroy anything, but leaves all the provenance, all of the history of that growth, of that understanding, of that perspective mechanism? Okay. So I made a decision long ago when I first met Doug. And in fact, I wrote an email to him in, I think it was 2005. I first met him, by the way, in 1992. So you met him 2 years before I did. Okay. But in 2005, I wrote an email to him, and I still have it in my archives. I can share it with you later if you like. That basically said, hey, Doug, too many people are interested just in your technologies, but I want to understand the rest of the picture. And we need to be able to have little groups get together and create this thing that can become your vision. So out of that, I have, over several years, identified about 6 projects, none of which I can do because I only recently retired and now I'm still trying to uh, do other things to make myself stable. And then I'm hoping to devote the rest of my life, all of my remaining cycles, to creating at least one of these projects and have them go live. But there are 6 things that I think, in my mind, take Engelbart and make it Engelbart plus plus. This is what I think Engelbart would have done had he then been able to keep his vision alive and growing. Now, just so you know, I have a long, not only professional, but also personal history with Doug. So I know a lot of aspects about his personal situation at SRI, about his home in Menlo Park, about his family, about his institute. And by the way, I'm glad you met Mary, his secretary. She was a wonderful person. I don't know if you know this, but she passed away a handful of years ago. Doug, of course, passed away in 2013, I think it was. Wow, has it been 12 years already? Wow. And by the way, there was a memorial held for Doug in Woodside, California. Hundreds of people attended, and there were probably about a dozen speakers, and I was one of them. And those videos are on the web if you're interested in hearing some of the notables. Remember Doug. One of the other questions I want to ask is, do you know Ted Nelson? Because Ted Nelson also has a take on this, and he also is
Okay,
from the
Joselito, yeah.
film. Yeah, he's also from the film and arts and knowledge and the knowledge handling knowledge. I hate to call it knowledge management because knowledge management today is a wide term that's not really referring to what Doug thought of knowledge management, but it's the closest thing to what Doug was talking about. Anyway, so I had to choose whether to focus on the technology side or to keep Doug's larger vision, the vision about how we collaborate better. Okay. So that's why I focused on collaborology. And I call myself, in fact, even before you introduced yourself, I've been even tempted to call myself an amateur sociologist. I don't have any training in sociology, but it's really one of the most important and crucial areas that we need to understand better. Otherwise, as I keep saying, and Heiner's heard me say this, and Kayla's heard me say this, and Jack and others, if we don't learn more about ourselves and how to collaborate better, we are not going to level up. And by level up, I mean we're not going to survive. We're already damaging the planet. We already have rampant stupidity, here in the United States. We have rampant corruption, a disregard for truth, a disregard for scientific thinking, a disregard for history, a disregard for justice and compassion. And sadly, it's even growing because the proponents of them, the power mongers, know that that's their way to success. And those of us who see a better future are not yet effectively organized to allow us to level up. So the question is, will only a handful of us survive, or will a significant number of us survive? Okay, because I don't think all of us are going to survive. And the United States, has certainly abandoned its responsibilities to the world. And it's shameful, it's embarrassing, it's chaotic. And we have by the way, Franz, I'm likely to use very strong language when talking about, the stupidity in the United States. So if you're going to be offended by strong language, I'm warning you now, and you should warn me.
No, it's
Stay away.
totally okay. It's totally okay.
I won't
I
do it
can totally.
immediately, but I
I
might
would
lose
like
myself.
to make the arch to really see why I wanted us three to come together, because I was in late 72 meeting all these people, and in the end went to Acrosanti, and this was a time directly after Rio, to really, where there was a lot of hope and kick, and I'm working on that. And Nelson was our later president of Apollo Domain. I had, with Will Podolska, founder of Prime, the chance to really see these developments coming from SRI, coming from Xerox, to really develop this long before Sun, this multi-access fast networks. So anyway, I would like you both to continue. I just wanted to make sure the time is up.
Mhm.
Hey, Heiner, this is
Okay.
unfair. You can't invite Franz here and just give us 30 minutes, okay?
He
This is
told me
not a good
10
thing.
minutes. No, he told me 10 minutes. I'm just
I'm
the
under
rule.
incredible time pressure. I have two locations. I'm living in Vienna, in the capital of Austria, and with 63 years, I decided I have to go to a small town in the countryside. And fortunately, with the fortune of my parents, I could afford buying a small hotel in a very small border town of southeastern Austria. And tomorrow morning, I have to go there. I have to do all my packing because I move my life every 4 to 7 weeks from one corner to the other. And I will stay there now to we will create a wonderful. We have just received a confirmation for a project that's called Rural Innovation Systems, and we will create in 4 years. We will create a kind of synthesis of learning space and maker space. And we think that bringing a new type of educational institution to the core of our existing communities. Austria is very good about villages. You know, it has 600 years, and at the beginning there was no large city. It was all villages, and still it is like that. More than 50% of the population wish to live in small villages. So I think bringing this to the scale of the human habitat that really allows us to become a community, to collaborate consciously, because everybody is important. That is what I would like to try out. But we need global support, as Heiner said. It's a local approach. We need global support to empower every single community with the knowledge it needs to create a smooth, perfect cycle of material flows and social cooperation. So that's Heiner did not mention. He mentioned shortly. I'm really, really positive that we still can and must uh, oppose the existing trend towards war and empires with a demand that we Roger Waters had this wonderful mantra, fuck all empires, in his Prague concert. Roger Waters from Pink Floyd, and fuck all empires. This is exactly what we need. We need to demand that villages of the world unite, come together, exchange your knowledge for free, become a research institution. Each village develop a specialty that you can share with others. It's a great gift economy, a global knowledge gift economy. So that is what I really would like to see emerging. And I think you're on the same track.
Wow. Okay. So just very quickly, two ideas. One, I also am in the process of arranging my life so that I can live someplace that is not the United States. I made that decision probably 3 or 4 or 5 months ago, and that decision has been made even more strong due to events of the last week or two, etc. But I've been looking in. Okay, there's about a dozen countries I'm looking at, but right now the top places might be Thailand or Japan or Bali or Italy. But other countries that have come up are Albania, Latvia, Estonia, Montenegro, Northern Cyprus, Vietnam, Taiwan, and the Philippines. So I also am trying to arrange my life as you are and trying to redesign it and restructure it. The second thing I want to bring up is that in the course of these conversations here, there have been two ideas that have come up, but we haven't yet established momentum around them. But Kayla and I have agreed informally to develop them. The first one that came up probably 3 or 4 years ago was since we realized that adults have so much stupidity and cultural bias that they cannot solve hard problems, we said, what if we created something that allowed groups of teens around the world to take problems and propose solutions to them? And these solutions could then be reasonably delivered to adults who ostensibly would have the responsibility and the authority and the resources to do something about them. And even if the adults didn't do anything about them, it would then soon become clear that teens would be thinking more clearly and more constructively and more socially consciously than the adults are. So we call this idea Teen Congress. And so that's an idea that we're hoping to get some momentum around. The second idea was a way to sort of get either cohorts or groups or classrooms of people. Now, I know this is done in classrooms already, but we'd like to put a different structure on it. we'd like one group in one town to hook up with another group in another town in two separate sessions. Okay, these groups could be anywhere from 5 to 12 people or whatever, and get to learn each other. You know, learn the culture, learn the customs, learn the food, learn some simple language issues, learn some simple habits, learn how to date, learn how to deal with parents, you know, learn how to deal with the bus system and currency and that sort of thing. And the idea would be in the first session to get to know each other. And they decide, okay, so what would be interesting to sort of co-create together. And in the second session, either a week or a month or whatever later, they could share those solutions and work on those solutions together. Okay. And we haven't given a name to this yet, but those are the two ideas that Kayla and I and others in this group think are fruitful because adults have demonstrated the inability or the lack of willingness or the lack of consciousness or the lack of resources or the lack of lived vision, whatever, okay, to actually take on these problems. Okay, we abdicate the solutions to these organizations called governments, and these governments are doing a very poor job of it. Okay, so anyway, sad to be so ranty about this, but anyway, I just wanted to bring up those two ideas because I think both of them could potentially have some reasonable, fruitful conversation and interaction. Kayla, you're welcome to say
Okay.
more about that too. But Franz, the floor is
Yeah.
open.
I don't have very much time left, so just let me comment on this. We're just also having a second project where we are confronting teens. As you said, we're working with schools, and we have a project called Mura Calling. Mura is our local river. This river goes through 5 countries and creates one bioregion, so to say. So we have a 5 country bioregion, which is a very, very exciting opportunity to put into practice the power of bioregionalism. So we have Austria, Slovenia, Croatia, Hungary, and Serbia, 5 countries. Uh, it goes down to the Danube with the Drava as an intermediary. And so we are actually working with these teams. This is the second project that we're doing. So let's exchange materials if possible. Yeah. And also one last thing that was about Jack, the guy who still sits in Stanford, as I understood.
Wait, which
Yeah,
guy?
you said Jack from
Jack.
Stanford Research.
He's not currently
Yeah.
at Stanford. He used to work at SRI.
Okay. Uh, I have a friend there who has brought it to a certain fame. That is James Ehrlich.
Hmm.
Maybe you know Region Villages.
I do not know him, but I'll mention it to Jack.
But he's really deeply embedded in the Stanford structure, the especially the medical faculty, things like that. And it would be really worthwhile including him because he is he is really set on making this idea of living in the village with the help of technology, with artificial intelligence that helps us to manage all our material energy flows, our debris, everything, and our local agriculture and things like that, our social life. He calls it the village AI or the village OS. Yeah. So I'm working. I'm how should I say? I have the good intention to work with him, but we need bridges. We need bridges to put things back and forwards. So
Okay.
that's my main message for today.
So, Entschuldigungen, this is very bad Deutsch, but hast du zum China gegangen?
China,
Yeah,
uh,
you know,
not yet, not yet.
aha,
But it is incredibly interesting because just 2 of my friends that you have to hook up to, I think. The one is Michelle Bowens of Peer-to-Peer Foundation. The other one is Johannes Pfister of Global Marshall Plan. Each of them just spent 6 weeks in China. And they told me, Franz, you cannot believe China is really on the forefront of village development, believe it or not.
yeah. I mean, they have very much in the front consciousness, city design around this 15-minute idea, right? 15-minute communities. The idea that any service you need, you should be able to walk to in 15 minutes from wherever you live, no matter where you live, right? So that's, kind of counter to this whole idea that there's this big central mall that you take an hour to get to, but everything's in your little local neighborhood. And by the way, I know there's another person who used to be here in 2018, 2019. God, I got to get him back. Aaron, I think is his name. He was looking at the time for a small village in Spain to purchase with a group of his friends to start an intentional community. So I don't know
Yeah, there
what
are
happened to him.
3,000 available. Yeah.
What was that?
There are 3,000 villages for sale available.
Right. And by the way, I'm also looking at possibly going to Japan because there are many houses in Japan that potentially are available as well. But
Mhm.
so depending on how far he's gotten or how much I love Japan or how much Kayla can tell me the Philippines are a great place or whether or not you've got some momentum around this place in Wien, or not in Wien, but in Austria.
Bad
Uh,
Radkersburg.
what is that called?
Bad Radkersburg.
Bart
That's a bad means a
Radkarlsburg.
spa.
Yes.
Everything with bad
Yeah.
is a spa.
Yes.
It is a
Yes.
thermal spa. Very
Yes. I'm familiar
nice.
with that.
And the
Okay.
name is Radkersburg. It's exactly at the southeastern corner of Austria.
Okay. So you have a hotel there. And are you
Yeah.
actually there to turn that hotel into one of these communities slash villages? Or is there like an intent to sort of get even more
It's a
properties
mini,
around
mini
it?
micro hotel. It's a mini, mini micro hotel with only 4 rooms for the guests. But I can host people here. And we turn
Well,
it into a house for studies and intellectual discoveries and deep dives.
that's fascinating because at one time, Heiner, I don't know if you remember, I'm living in my home alone here. And this place is capable of holding probably, well, seven comfortably, but possibly up to 15 or 20 if we're very, very good friends, for a small meeting slash convention slash, you know, workshop slash, I don't know, social experiment, for example. But if I rent this out, then we'll have to find another place. But if we could turn this into one of those places, that would be an awesome vision for this place as well. And by the way, you mentioned the Danube. A very good friend of mine allowed me to visit this very small town called Beulen in the
Where?
Donautal. Beulen,
Which
Beuron. I know my pronunciation is very bad.
Byron?
Okay, yeah,
That is in
tiny town,
Germany.
tiny town. Oh yeah, that's right. But the Danube goes through,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's it's when the Danube is actually a very, very small rivulet. Okay, but it's a picture postcard perfect little town. It's been there for hundreds of years. Everything looks like it's out of a children's storybook, and pictures drawn by an artist. It was so beautiful and so calm and so peaceful. That was my one experience with Donautal, but I really loved it and wish I could go back. Anyway, there's a lot of different connections we have here. In fact, if your community were further along, I would stop looking at Thailand, stop looking at Japan, and see whether or not I could get some some some.
There is a lot of good choices already.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
So I sum up and try to propose that we meet again at one of the next weekends. You see, you mentioning Japan and China. One of my best friends here in Berlin is Eckhart Hahn. He is doing the eco villages worldwide. He was
Are you talking about
teach
Eckhart, my cousin? No, I'm just kidding.
Eckhart Hahn. No, no. And he was just in China and reported the same. So he's with the elders in Japan with Kyoto, and he is out of my family. We had the same town planning and architecture teacher. And seeing us so closely connected, like 93, the Ökostadt Graz, where I had the Chinese coming to see these movements and exchange, there's so much that I can only say I agree with everything you said, except we not only have to support globally the local developments, but also think across scales. And that is my work. And then through this augment what I learned from Gregory Bateson to involve time and to involve scales, and Doug and everything. And not only the mouse, but the dolphin was a discussion in the 90s. Anyway, I think it was a good start. I'm the rough keeper of time. Please excuse me.
Hey, there's so much to touch on. So just to reiterate though, Franz, we meet every Saturday, every Samstag, every Sonntag, same time, okay? 8 Uhr Pacific time. And so you are welcome. It's always the same link. So if you are available and you can, keep in touch with Heiner, hopefully you will share your contact information with me as well. Then we can share some other stories and so many other opportunities to pick up on this. Incidentally, when you were here in Palo Alto, were you here just for that one meeting, or were you actually working here for a while? And if you were here for an extended stay, where were you living at the time?
I had some really good Persian connections. So I stayed with friends. Actually, I stayed a few months, 2 or 3 months, as long as the visa permit allowed. And I had really connections in Ventura County. When Kayla said Ventura County, I always think of Thousand Oaks, where I also used to stay longer. So I went everywhere I went was this Persian network, and at that time I was a member of the family, so to say.
You have good rugs? I'm just kidding.
Hmm?
You have good rugs in your home?
Oh yeah, in Roanoke, Virginia, I think the brother was a carpet dealer also.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, look,
Okay.
I do hope you join us again, and I enjoyed meeting you. Kayla, I don't know if you want to say anything else because I know that I mean, so much is going on. You didn't have much of a airtime right now. Kayla, did you want to offer anything as a wrap up before Franz leaves?
Oh, no, thank you. It was really good to hear you talk. And yay for Ventura County.
By the way,
Thank you.
Franz, Kayla is very modest, but she's also plugged into the government around Ventura County and a group of young professionals who's kind of being groomed into positions of leadership in Southern California. She'll never discuss it that way.
I love the place. It's the best part of Los Angeles, so to say.
I
Thousand Oaks.
agree.
Okay,
Okay.
good. Thank you
All
very
right.
much for having me.
No, thank you
Heiner,
very much
thank
for
you very
coming.
much for.
Good to meet you. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
Heiner, you are
Oh,
muted again.
so by the way, for the record, all of these meetings are recorded in the very Engelbartish principle. We keep all of these. So hopefully Heiner warned you that we are doing this. And I always share these recordings probably a few hours after it concludes. And if you like, and if you give me your contact information, I can share the link with you. Okay.
I put the email in the chat.
Okay. Excellent. Very good.
Okay.
Okay.
So hear from you. See you. Bye bye.
Bis später.
Bye.
Heiner, was that
Okay.
what you were hoping for? Yeah, you're not muted. No, actually, you just muted yourself. You just muted yourself. Heiner, Heiner, you're muted. Oh, you're on a phone call. Sorry. I didn't get it.
Well, some people know me. I'm always multitasking with 3 monitors. It's a crazy world. No, I just had the idea that not only this Eckhart Hahn I mean, he's a senior professor on the highest, like Princeton in science. He is a social sciences professor since the beginning of all this. He's 10, 15 years older than me. I would like to also invite him in and maybe also do, as I said much times earlier, do a little 10, 15 with, I was there already, all this bullshit. That is not important. The important is what we pragmatically for all living things and humanity and survival can do, and how augmentation and all these terms we use since we know Doug is very, very central, that we are not getting dumbed down by technology, but getting the enhancements of that. So this is it I wanted to say. I hope you enjoyed the session. I also have to run, but I didn't want to put more pressure into the pipe than possible.
One question before you go, okay? Franz has been around for a while. He has some history with a bunch of these projects. Who is he working with who might be, let's say, a little bit earlier in their career, but is following along these principles and vision ideas, who might also be interesting people to connect with? Does he have anybody like that that are in their 30s, 40s, 50s that would be interested in the same topics that we just talked about?
Yes, that's what was my idea, to really get some movers and shakers worldwide into the themes. Franz has, through this ecological master plan and all this peer-to-peer and whatever communities, he was Apple Austria, running Apple out of Vienna. So he has many of these peoples together, and we do together the Equinox Earth Day. So me, independent from him, met the founder of the Equinox Earth Day, who with Robert Muller and Margaret Mead started this global thinking, but like Elinor Ostrom, being rooted with a foot on the ground. So you are tapping here into very deep connected things we did with the German Federation. Oh, it's also Austria and Switzerland, of towns and villages. We did a lot of studies over years over intentional communities. And that was my thing when I started studying late 60s, early 70s, going to Christiania to see the alternative people there. And I had with common friends of Franz, here the Öko-Werk, but also the faiths, but also other eco communities like the first, which came up in the early mid 70s, to really try community and see how difficult it is, and really with people like this guy who was doing the management and the communication for the German Federation of towns and regions or villages primarily, Städte- und Gemeindebund it's called, and Gemeinde is the administrative community. We have a friendship since 20, 25 years, and they're all retired. So these people are my age. Franz has nearly the same day birthday like me, one day later, and he is, I think, 5 years younger than me. So we now, and I'm working very much with talented people, doing all this networking and thinking and doing various projects in Belém at the COP and at the COPs before, and all these other events on bringing the municipalities together, bringing the governance together, and really having in Europe a much bigger problem than you have in America, because Europe is much more diverse than the United States of America. We have many, many different languages and mindsets and competing, fighting history. But you also have been buying Alaska and doing a lot of things of usurpation in the past. So I'm really interested to stay up, and I really urge you to come to me and to Franz to make a difference. And especially Franz is like neighborhood of Ljubljana. And Ljubljana, Slovenia, is a very top town. And also there, I have many, many connections through research agencies, universities, whatever. It is like Montenegro or Albania, a very interesting place. And also in politics, for example, in Montenegro, I have a friend who is with me and our Jack Park very much into millennium thinking, like futures, national nodes connected 56 countries, but also doing it hands-on through this work on doing the Millennium Day now since 15 years as a 24 hours Futures Day. So you should also join these networks. And I'm a work netter, I told you, not a networker. So I think about the cross-generational thing and involving the languages and the cultures and the belief systems, because we need peace. All the sable rattling I see now in the news, it's a nightmare.
It's proving the antithesis of leveling up.
Okay, I'm far beyond top of the hour. Please excuse me.
Wow. Okay. All right, Heiner, thank you very much for introducing us to Franz. I'm hopeful that we can have future conversations and more of them. So
I make a proposal that I and maybe one or two others out of my circles fit here very, very well. And then we have to put in some more live again into all our early meetings with Tammy or whoever. Anyway.
Okay.
Bye.
Sehr gut. Later.
Bye-bye.
Okay. All right. And again, and then there were two. And Kayla, apologize that there wasn't much opportunity for you to interject. I think there are a lot of ways that you and leadership and future and programs for kids and regional government could interact, but
I'm going to say this because there's only two of us, and we've got an hour to go if we want to even go there. I was slightly offended that Heiner said that's why I wanted us three to get together.
Yes, I heard that.
I thought about
I heard that.
how I am constantly invisible, unless it has to do with something domestic like cleaning or cooking or something, that women are typically tied to. And I was going to say something kind of sarcastic, but I did not want us to get stuck.
I almost said something.
It was just like something to note. Yes, because and so this also feeds into the discomfort that most women do not want to participate, because it's really difficult to get unstuck when you've got that in your head and it's been the narrative the entire time. But at the same time, I'm trying to work through it because I understand that it does come from a few things. Number one, I'm not always available, especially when people ask my opinion, and I recognize that. Number two, there's very little that I can do at the moment because my time limits me tremendously. Like the projects and the ideas that I have, they're ideas. Have I moved forward with some of it? Just a little bit, just a tiny smidgen. I may need a little bit of encouragement, but before that, I have to free myself up. But I just wanted to say that on record.
I'm glad you
But
did.
it's not a diss to anybody. It's just for recording purposes because it can tie to a lot of things. I'm being very specific with women, but with other people who may not have an opportunity to speak. We have to encourage people to be able to speak and be inclusive. But again, I recognize the importance of staying on topic and being with like-minded people and not getting stuck. So there, I
But
said my piece.
I think what you're doing is exactly, what I would have done myself, which is to log it as an issue for further examination, either now or later, because it is a real issue. And I am aware that that has driven um, other women away. And
So I don't know if you want to say it
I
to
do.
anybody. I don't know if you want to bring it up when I'm not there because I would feel more comfortable. I think at this point, the men need to talk amongst themselves and say it to where it's not uncomfortable, and to like, I just feel like it needs to be man to man at this point, just because would be very discomforting and it might be a stopping point for people to move forward. So just a FYI.
I completely agree with you. And
Yeah.
in not this particular forum specifically, but I try and do it here. But especially in other places, like for example, when I post in social media, I am trying to encourage more men to be more aware of these issues. And
Yeah, I totally recognize that, but I'm wondering if guys just need to say it to guys and other guys need to just speak their mind and be safe to feel like they speak their mind. Like guys need to vent too and be like, oh yeah, well we try, and stuff like that. That's why I feel like at this point it would be really good to just like make it like amongst the guys.
okay,
Yeah. So, anyways, I don't want to be stuck on that. I just like it was just something that I wanted to put on record. But I was really excited about this gentleman. I'm glad he had mentioned that he was here in Ventura County. I'd like to explore that a little bit more because if he has some type of a village model, that's what I was hearing. Then I'm recognizing that with like the Ventura County Leadership Academy, I can actually try to position him to, um, maybe pitch that model to, because I know somebody in Thousand Oaks. I think she's the assistant. What is it? Assistant mayor, I believe. And then there's another woman that she's just highly intelligent and very open to new ideas. Um, but I wanted to like hear more about what he's got going on, and see if other people are willing to hear it too and implement that.
yeah.
That would be amazing, you know?
Yeah, I would love for these places to exist so I could actually target them as places for me to move to.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I just want to find a place that's, kind of like among a bunch of trees, all by myself, with good water, good food nearby, which is pretty much what I have here, but it's in the US. And that whole aspect of being in the US right now is a very unattractive, distasteful aspect of this place.
Yeah.
I do apologize on behalf of myself and other men that we do not have more awareness around how women's voices are silenced or not given room to be expressed. I
Yeah,
myself am
yeah.
growing in that awareness. I'm not saying I'm there yet myself, but I'm trying to grow my awareness of that.
Well, I'm glad you didn't say anything because I was gonna say something and I didn't want to. It just like there's a time for everything. Um, and so I'm glad you didn't say anything.
I did note that when Heiner said the three of you. Yeah, I just said in fact, I might have even physically, I'm hoping I didn't, actually shake my head when Heiner said that.
Yeah, it's okay. Like I'm used to but it bothers me more than ever now.
Yeah, but it's a problem, right? Because it then gives
It
you
is.
this obstacle you have to overcome.
Yeah,
And
yeah, it's just another like, bitch, I'm here. What the fuck? And it's not just
exactly.
you guys too. It's like and it's not just like certain social spaces. I feel invisible in other spaces too when it's like predominantly Caucasians. I feel invisible. Like when it's predominantly people of a certain profession, like if they have like a certain style, it's like you gravitate to who you always gravitate to. If you're of a certain echelon, you're always going to gravitate to that echelon, and everything else becomes kind of invisible. But if you are in the space of leadership, if you're in the space of wanting to be all inclusive, if you're in the space of like, you really need to give voice to other people. You really need to be mindful and give like opportunities and spaces for the quiet people to actually say something and feel safe to do so. Because if you don't, then they won't, you won't ever be able to hear the value that they may bring. So I get kind of like prickly when it comes to that. Like, and then sometimes I'll crack a joke and say something. But I notice that people get really uncomfortable, like, oh shit, I was wrong. It's like, okay, just don't do it again,
Yep.
you know? Period.
Yep.
But
Business has been very bad at this, and the patriarchy has infused most businesses.
yeah. But at the same time, like there's a level of trust too, that you have to have for people who are quiet. You know, trust that if they don't want to speak, then that's fine. That's just who they are. It's just given the opportunity to speak would at least cover that base.
Yeah, I think there's too much in business of this. I'm not saying this is a business forum, but too much in business has been around the whole classroom style of, all right, I asked the question, you, Johnny, you got your hand up, and then you respond to the
Yeah,
people who can want to appear smart, who want to, build up their reputation, but you don't notice, someone in the back thinking, ruminating, putting lots more connections in place, being more thoughtful, while the immediately obvious, response is being represented by Johnny here with his hand up.
right. I like teachers who randomly call on people. Maybe there should be wording. For instance, the people who haven't really come to the answer or the conclusion yet. Maybe maybe they can be encouraged to say, "I don't have the answer yet, but if you come back to me, and then I might."
Yeah. I mean, I would love for them to be able to say, I don't know yet, but here's what's in my mind, and I haven't been able to resolve this, this, and that, but here's my current thinking on it. And that, to me,
Yeah,
would be a good way to at least bring forth some of the thinking that's in that mind that hasn't yet resolved itself, but at least it reveals that someone is thoughtful rather than just, checked out.
Yeah. Anyway. I never knew all of that about Doug Engelbart. I had no idea. And I love it because I think I've looked him up a little bit and it was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay, he invented the mouse, he did it, but I loved how intimate he had, like his story.
Mm-hmm.
And so now it's actually prompted me to look even further into Doug Engelbart and see, exactly, and it also gave me a really good appreciation of you, like, and Jack and other people who are tied to the technology portion of it, and how you guys always kind of go off and riff about technology, and I'm like, okay, nothing to contribute to this, but that's okay. I didn't realize he had wanted to utilize technology for the advancement of humanity. And again, that's what I heard.
When I
But
introduced
I
Doug,
just
sorry, I thought you were done. Sorry.
it's okay. But yeah, now that I know that, I'll have a better appreciation and I might actually, lean in a little bit more when you guys have those technology conversations because from what I hear, that's everybody's kind of purpose when it came to technology and humanity, and that's why certain people go into these spaces or this space in particular.
That's always the expressed reason. But the actual reason is just to make a bunch of billions of dollars. There are very few people who actually glom onto Doug's vision about how we scale collaboration so that we can tackle these global problems. Very
Yeah, I
few
loved
people
it.
keep that perspective.
I like that you brought that up. That was probably one of the most exciting parts of this conversation.
Maybe I should have done it earlier because I like introducing Doug and saying, hey, even though he was the seed of many of these multi-billion dollar technologies, like the ones that I mentioned, and there's many more, he did not consider himself primarily a technologist. He wanted to bring a way for people to solve big problems together. Now, if technology fed into that, fine, that was incidental. But his main focus was how do we solve these big problems? Hunger, class strife, politics, violence, wars, clean water, clean air, global warming, he saw all that
Yeah.
way in the mid 60s, and a lot of research was just emerging around then. Oh, by the way, also population growth in the 60s and 70s. And he himself had this conversation in his own mind about, okay, well, these are big problems, but what can one individual do? And he says, well, if I look at it, then all of these things cannot be solved by one person or a company or even a region. It has to be solved with a much broader base. So he said, how are we going to be able to do that? And he didn't know, but he knew at least one small aspect of it was we're going to have to be able to share information because we can't share information, across these large networks of people. We have no hope. So that was his focus and how he worked on information sharing technologies. And that's why Augment came about. That's why the mouse came about. That's why word processing came about. Outline processing, multimedia was all towards this larger vision. But if you take a look at the companies like Logitech, like, all these companies that have built multimedia technologies, they take it so that they can make billion-dollar companies. But do they actually then look at the larger vision of how do we collaborate? No,
No.
I don't think they do. You know, they're just working on next quarter's profits and try to increase those by another X percent, but they're not ever talking about the larger vision, except when they go to these conferences and give lip service, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not as a corporate entity, they don't do that. They don't contribute to Engelbart. Engelbart's Institute only had a handful of companies that contributed to it. Electric Power Institute was one of them. Iris, the mapping company, I think in the Midwest was one of them. Logitech was one of them. There's a handful of companies, and it's too small a representation for business to actually say they support this vision. There's a very famous guy who was very well renowned, a guy named Alan Kay in the technology business. I think he's somewhere on the East Coast, maybe Brown University. Could be. Anyway, he used to work at Xerox PARC. Amazon, cancel. Sorry, did you hear that?
Nope.
Amazon reminded me to take my meds. Anyway, so Alan Kay used to work at Xerox PARC in, advanced object-oriented languages. But he has been saying for the last 30, 40 plus years that Silicon Valley is still working on expanding the ideas that Doug brought forth in 1968 and will still do so for years to come. That vision is still inspiring most of what happens in Silicon Valley. And not enough people know that.
Wow.
Because all of these technologies, you could see the seeds of them in the demo that Doug had in 1968. But if you mention the 1968 demo, very few people, especially people under 50, know about that.
Wow.
They're taught programming languages, they're taught, this and that piece of hardware, they're taught this, framework, but they don't ever, and they're taught Bill Gates, taught about Steve Jobs, but they don't ever recognize that all of them drew their ideas from Doug Engelbart. He's uncredited, unfortunately. Partly that's because he was working at SRI, and all of these inventions, when you work at a company like SRI, you assign your IP to these companies. So SRI's got billions and billions of royalties off of the mouse. Doug got $10,000 bonus. It's sad. It's not right.
That sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. This is capitalism. This is why capitalism is not a great scheme for really supporting social innovation or even fair technology innovation. Because if you got five guys with a good idea that's sort of in the same area, the way capitalism is structured is four of those people have to lose and one guy gets the big pie. Why is that right?
Yep.
Why can't all of them succeed? Why can't we support all of them and have them work together?
Right.
Let me tell you another story. What's the disease? It really affects, I think it's multiple sclerosis. There was a really rich guy in technology or medicine. I forget. Yeah, I gotta refresh myself on these stories. Who either personally or someone in his family was dying of multiple sclerosis. And he said, at the time, this is probably 20 or 25 years ago, he said, I need a cure soon. And there's no cure on the horizon.
Right.
And so he invited 4 or 5 of the top researchers in this area and said, I'm going to give you each $5 million to do research if you'll actually work with each other. Because, when he said to each of them in the first meeting with each of them, how soon could a solution be provided? Each of them gave some very long answer. And again, I forget the details, but it's somewhere like 15 or 20 years before we'd have a cure. And he said, if I give each of you $5 million to do research and you focus on area 1, you focus on area 2, you focus on area 3, whatever, okay, how quickly could you guys actually work together and provide a solution? And they gave some much more, aggressive answer. And I don't know the ending of that story. I got to look up the details. But that's the kind of model we need. But it shouldn't be done by just an individual. We should, as a society, be thinking this way.
Right.
And yet capitalism says, no, you're wrong. We should all compete and, winner takes all. And you should really want the others to just die. You want those companies to just go away. That's capital
Right.
C death.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a poor interpretation of Darwinism,
Yeah.
So ugly too when you finally look at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
I got to look up the details of that story. It's been years now, so I'm wondering whether the guy is still alive.
Yeah. See what the outcome is.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought up that point about Heiner saying introduce the three of you. There was a time when you brought your friend, was it Addie or someone else,
Uh-huh.
to
Uh-huh.
this? And I guess maybe she didn't really enjoy it because she hasn't come back. But I'm wondering whether that was because she was, what, dismissed in the same way, you know?
No, it's not her priority. It's not her thing.
Mhm.
But she isn't afraid. If anything, she's less afraid to say anything than I am.
You also mentioned someone else just in the last week. Uh, I forget the name. It wasn't Melissa. It was someone else. Maybe somebody in your
How did I
cohort.
mention them?
As somebody who was thoughtful, was asking the right questions, uh, typically pretty quiet. I gotta upgrade my memory
My
cells.
son?
I thought it was a she, but yeah, it'd be good to get Max and his generation represented here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be a good example to them. It's
Mhm.
hard. It is, it's like balance. Balance is a moving target, right? There's no such
Yeah.
thing as balance. But I'll give you an example. Yesterday, there was a possibility that Max might not compete because of all of the stress involved with last minute changes in choreography and long practices, and the kids just, were getting worried, and things were a little chaotic. There was misunderstandings, cancellations, all of that stuff. So one of them actually asked me to say something. I think I mentioned that,
Yes, you did.
and I did. And so it sparked a conversation yesterday. And I have to admit that I was kind of glad because they really should be talking about this, and hopefully it'll make them sort out whatever needs to be tightened and done better, like timing, time management, all that good stuff. So anyhow, originally they were going to, like, not do either competitions. So there's two this month. And a part of me was glad, but then a part of me felt a little sad for the kids because in the end of the day, they want to dance, right?
Mhm.
So after listening to my son, he said that eventually all of them had agreed to do both. And
Oh,
yeah, when I was asking questions about people who spoke, like what happened, why were people crying, why did the coach get mad? I said at the end of the day, I'm here for him. And if I feel that, obviously his school takes priority, his health takes priority, but if I feel it's too much, then he's going to have to take a day off. He's going to have to focus on school. I'm going to have to pick him up early. Um, And then a part of me was just like, what the hell? It's still a lot, right? And I asked Damien what he thought. He goes, Max has a voice. He can do it. 8 o'clock is not an unreasonable time to come home and start homework. You know, it happens. And he goes, but he just has to stick with it. And Max smiled because his brother supported him. And of course, I was like, oh God, I'm gonna have to like deal with this for like a fucking week, dude. It's gonna suck. But I shut up and I was like, okay, all right. If that's what you want, then okay, there you have it. Like, I just gotta let go, yeah, and have faith that things will work out.
So when the kids got together to discuss this, were you present, or
Nope,
did you understand the character of that interaction and how they conducted
nope.
themselves?
And so a part of me was like resisting, right? I was thinking I should have been there. They should have the parents there, blah, 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 blah. And then I thought about it and I'm like, if they want to empower the kids to make their own decisions, that might be a reason why they didn't invite the kids because they are in high school. And I know they're underdeveloped brains and need guidance, right? But it is kind of a step towards independence. And so I just had to tell myself, hopefully, if they need help, they can ask me, and I will, of course, be a voice to support that.
I think that's a huge value of extracurricular activities, especially group ones, is
Yeah.
when you have to learn to deal with other people.
Yeah.
And in
Yeah.
classroom assignments, there's so much that's just individual. And even
Yeah.
if you work with someone, it's usually one partner, and one of them gets lazy and they don't want to do. I know that. But it's in things like dance, music, other kind of group activities, sports, for example, where you really learn how to do larger, team-oriented things and kind of people dynamics that come up. Man, it took me a long time to really understand that, but I saw it in music. I definitely see it in music. People who grow up in orchestras and playing chamber music, and probably for you, it's the things like small dance groups and maybe even larger ones. Learn these things, like how to make a suggestion, how to give feedback, how to listen, how to represent yourself, how to actually think about what's good for the group versus just what one person wants. Those are all aspects that come out when you do these group activities, in elementary and middle school and high school situations.
Yeah.
And that's a huge part of the value of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
I can definitely tell in business when someone
Yeah.
doesn't have those skills. And then I look and I say, yep, pretty much they didn't do dance, they didn't do orchestra or music. They might have done something individual, like, playing chess, which
Right.
I guess could
Right.
have a group aspect to it as well, but not so much encountered.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad that more people are seeing the value of it, though. They're starting to speak out, like yourself. And I think I read it somewhere too, that it's so important when it comes to leadership. But like all these, it makes me sad that the funding, there was like discussions about like funding being taken away for arts
Yeah.
and stuff. And so, thankfully, most of the schools have recognized the benefits of it, so it's still there to stay.
Well, maybe in
Yeah,
your area, but there are many other districts where the funding really has dried up and it hasn't been replaced, and the kids don't get the benefit of that.
yeah. That's why I really like Ventura High School. I think they, well, at least I know other schools probably follow the same model, but at least now that I'm involved, I can see that they really do see the benefit of it. And if the funding has been cut for like the dance department, they'll find ways around it and prioritize um, gaining funding for that.
Yeah, it certainly
So
sounds like you're in a good place.
yeah, come over here.
A question. In your
Yeah.
dealings in the community, do you ever encounter groups from other neighborhoods, let's say Miracosta, Newport Beach, Irvine, Woodland Hills, any of those other areas?
Do I encounter other groups that come to
In
Ventura?
those neighborhoods, yeah.
Um, Based on the fact that I have to think about it, I almost want to say no.
Yeah, that's too bad, right? Because you
You
guys seem to
know,
be
actually,
working positively towards a lot of these fronts.
I have to say that there have been like Los Angeles transplants that have come here,
Mhm.
Orange County transplants, and they seem very excited about it.
Is that because it's novel to them and they hadn't previously seen it? Or is it that, oh, you guys have this too, kind of an attitude?
Well, they're mostly looking for a slower lifestyle and something a little bit more connected to, you know, like less crowds,
Mhm.
connected to more nature, a smaller community. So, you just made me realize the transplants that come here. I'm always talking about how like there's a little bit of racism, and which is true. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, but at the same time, I really should talk about like how collaborative I've seen, like the schools, et cetera,
Hmm.
et cetera.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
again, these are public forums that I happen to talk to, the transplants. And so there's, of course, other people who are just like, the school districts suck. So, but no, thank you for bringing that up because Ventura County does have a lot of really good collaborative aspects to it,
Hmm.
at least what I've seen. So,
Yeah,
and I'm
I hear
really
you
glad
talk
I'm
about
getting
this.
involved.
Hmm.
Yeah. Now you're making me really wonder if I should go to Angel City. Hey, if I want to make a name for myself, that would be the organization. But
You think you could build a bit of notoriety as part of that organization?
absolutely, they're ramping up to the LA 28. The advertising for LA 28 is already coming out.
Mm.
I mean,
See,
Adam Sandler is a part of their, they got him as a representative. So I'd meet him. I'd meet some like really good athletes, like Olympians. I'd meet Olympians.
well,
Yeah. But then again, like it just comes to, kind of what you're talking about, kind of what that guy was talking about. I forgot his name already. What was that gentleman that spoke today?
Franz.
What's his name? Franz. Oh, what Franz was talking about. It's kind of like, what's the purpose of like capitalism? Like, do I really believe in making a name for myself? Do I care? Because I could utilize my skills and scale, anywhere. Anyways, I don't want to talk about me. What do you think about me?
Well, I hope you caught that I introduced you as part of a cohort that's being groomed to take on bigger roles in the future. Because I actually think you are.
Yes.
And maybe you recognize that, but you don't speak about that often enough. So I try to do that for you.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm just looking for the right opportunity, I guess, even though the right opportunity never exists.
Well, I've been delaying looking for the right opportunity, the right entry point, and I've had paralysis myself.
Yeah. Well, if I do want to get involved, more so in a political arena, like
Hmm.
to help, like in a huge way, and to really make myself known, there
Hmm.
is currently a liability attached to that, and that's my kids. And so that's primarily what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for them to kind of, you know,
Yeah, I see it. I get
age.
that. I do.
Yeah. So,
But that's not too long from now. I mean, Max entered high school. He'll be done in 3 years,
yeah.
4 years.
Plus, there's also a sense of identity that I need to complete. I know not too many people are strong with their identity in general. People struggle with that. But the good part about, focusing on something that you absolutely love, such as what I did with dance, is
Hmm.
I actually developed my identity and stuck with it for decades.
Hmm.
And it worked for me. It simplified everything.
Hmm.
Like, this is who I am. This is what I want. This is what I value. Um, like a company, organization. You stick to your values. You stick to the mission. You stick to like what you really want to achieve. And so to have that clarity at such a young age was such a blessing. And now that I'm undergoing this tremendous change, I do have to just kind of start exploring my identity again.
Interesting you bring that up. I'm in a similar situation, after having been let go about a year and a half ago. I'm trying to figure out what I
Yeah.
want to do when I grow up.
When you grow up.
Yeah, I hope to grow up someday.
Yeah, don't we all?
While at the same time not losing my inner child.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a part of your identity, right? Or
That's really all there is, right? We're all just little children pretending to be adults.
we just might have a little bit more experience than actual children.
Just trying to use big words to, fool people into thinking I'm an adult.
Yeah, exactly. Your vocabulary is expanded. How's the weather right now? Has the
It is not
rain?
raining. It is cloudy,
Nice.
but it
Okay.
is, in fact, it's one of these days where you can't ever tell where the sun is, but everything's visible very clearly. And there's just a big cloud cover over everything. Um, I would say it's heavenly. I kind of like this weather because you can go do almost anything you want to do in this weather. And so I'll probably take the dogs for a walk. When it's raining, I don't get to walk them very often. I don't do it myself. Sorry, not not I don't.
Yeah, yeah.
Bad
No,
language, bad
that's
language.
totally fine.
I am too lazy to
I get
take
it.
them for walks in the rain. Okay, let me be
I get it.
accountable to myself. Okay, I'm fucking lazy.
I know.
All right.
My dogs look disappointed at me today because I didn't take them out. But I am sitting, and I'm going to make you jealous again. I am sitting in sunshine right now. The sky is all blue, you
Ah,
know. Um, it feels so nice right now.
what's
It's
the temperature?
beautiful. I would say in the high 60s.
Ah, that's perfect.
Yeah, about 65 to is the temperature right now.
That's why people live in Southern California.
Oh, it says
65 in January.
59. It
Oh,
says
poor
59,
baby.
but yeah, but it doesn't feel like it. It feels a little warmer. Okay, so let's see. The hottest it's gonna get this week is on Friday at 76,
Jeez.
right?
When I was at Stanford in my sophomore year, because in my freshman year I lived in a dorm, but in my sophomore year I got to go live in what they call a row house. not a frat house, but it's, a themed house. So I was in the international theme house. And this is, guys, way before you were born. This was 78, probably January 1 of 1978. And this is Palo Alto, you know. And the weather was so beautiful. About three or four of us were sunbathing nude on the roof of the International Theme
No.
House on January 1st.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The weather was really good.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's funny.
Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever told you about that place. That place was co-ed down to the room and down to the bathrooms. So, I had a female roommate. She, in fact, picked me, said, "Hey, you want to be my roommate?" But she already had a boyfriend,
Oh,
a guy named Otto, so she was a very nice person. I was very good friends with her, but she and Otto were in a relationship, but she didn't want a room with Otto, so she wanted a room with me. There was never anything that really happened, but we were just good friends. So it was that
yeah.
kind of a dorm situation. And the
Nice.
bathrooms were also co-ed. You could walk into any bathroom, and surprisingly, the showers, which had those, it wasn't transparent, but they were like, this foggy, but it wasn't, entirely, what do you say? You could still sort of see an outline, of the other person. Those are also
Yeah.
co-ed. And
Yeah.
uh, I don't think there was ever any problem with that. And this is 77, 78, 79, that time period.
Hold on. Okay.
What?
Yeah. She's not as bad today.
Okay.
Not as bad. There you go. I'm sorry. I apologize for the distraction. I'm outside, and obviously the dogs are outside. So Eclipse
Mhm.
is barking at the neighbor who walked his dog again. So I'm trying to do this thing where I am just calm because I hear that my reaction might actually make it worse.
Mhm.
And anyway, she wasn't barking as much or like going crazy as much. So I don't know. Maybe it did work, but now she's trotted inside, so I'm gonna go inside. See, you can have platonic friendships.
I do have platonic friendships. Wait, aren't we a
Yeah,
platonic friendship?
yeah, totally. No, it's unfortunately rare.
I mean, a lot of women tell me, no, you cannot have platonic friendships with men.
Yeah, I know. I know. You
And
know.
even some men tell me you can't have a platonic friendship with women. And I say,
Yeah.
that is
You haven't
such limited
evolved.
thinking.
But then again, there are certain what is it, experiences that have made me go, maybe I can't, such as my former guy best friend who keeps telling me to show him my boobs
Oh, geez.
when he's drunk. Yes, it's embarrassing, but I finally said enough is enough and called him out. And since then, he's kind of cowered in the corner and he doesn't really engage with me as much. And it's too bad. It's too
Mhm.
bad. But I am putting my foot down. You need to be accountable. You need to apologize. You need to cower. Take it however long before I can see that you are truly sorry for being an idiot because
Yep.
you've got a wife and kids.
Mhm.
So, there. And I don't care what everybody says. Oh, he probably likes you. Like, who fucking cares? I don't like him back. Like, and he should know that because we've been talking for decades. And I have not once entertained the possibility of being anything other than a friend. So get over it. No more excuses. Do what you need to. See you later. Bye for now.
And he hasn't felt like he should apologize? That's interesting.
His apology was like not really an apology.
I hate those. I know exactly
Yeah,
what you mean. Apology needs to be followed by behavior change, and if it's not, then it's meaningless.
yeah. You know, I don't know. I just didn't feel that the apology was a real apology. It was kind of like, yeah, I was drunk. How embarrassing. You know, that should show you. Well, it doesn't show me anything. It just shows me that you've learned nothing. So,
And that you
ugh.
can use
And then the
drinking as
worst,
an excuse.
yeah. But I do have to say that when my dad died, he was one of the first, you know, I do have to acknowledge that because we have history. He was one of the first people who reached out to me privately. So you get a pass. Get a little bit of a pass. See, and that's how forgiving some people are.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, sorry,
And
I feel like I hijack these one-on-ones, but
no.
go ahead.
You bring up an interesting thing because a glimmer in my mind just said, it'd be fascinating in one of these sessions to really understand what forgiveness means. It's a word that's bandied about a lot.
Yeah. And it's difficult. It really is. Accountability is difficult. That's why I think that we all should um, continue to show that we can be accountable. You know, one thing I read it was these quotes from Facebook, I guess, of a lifelong psychologist, and it said the best thing you could do for your kids is not more patience. It's you know, it's repair. It's like
Yes.
rupture and repair.
Yep.
The best thing you could do is just tell them that you were wrong and that I'm sorry and step away.
And
Like,
change behavior.
yes. So,
Sort of, interject that, but so important to really not just acknowledge and apologize, but I am so stuck on this change behavior business. It's very close to home, as you probably suspect.
yeah.
It's almost the extent now where if there's no change of behavior, I give no credence to the apology.
Yeah. Mm.
So yeah, I've notched in my head that if we could talk about forgiveness in a future session, to me that would be interesting.
Yeah. Agreed.
Writing that down. So it's on the docket for the rest of the day.
Well, I think my son's getting sick, Damien. um, so I have to check on him when we're done.
Wait, he's at your place right now?
Yep. Yeah, he drove. Oh, by the way, he drove all the way over here in rush hour traffic. He left Long Beach at 4 o'clock and drove all the way over here, even though I told him not to.
How long did it take?
Let's see. He was here by, I almost want to say, okay, 5, like 6. Yeah, I think
2
2 hours.
hours.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, which I expected him to be here by like 7.
Oh, okay. But it's huge from what I can see because, from the time that you told me that he chose to live with Kenny, um, it's quite a while since then. And for him to actually make that effort on his own, take 2 hours to come stay the weekend, which is what it sounds like with you,
Yep. Yep.
is huge.
Yeah.
I'm happy
That's
for you.
nice. Yeah. So I'm gonna check on him, probably fill his gas tank, get his car washed, so it makes him feel good. I don't know about you, but I like a nice, like, washed and vacuumed car.
I have dogs.
Yeah. Well,
If I was going to do that, I'd have to do that every week.
he has one dog in his dad's house, and it's a small dog. And then my dogs are confined to, like, the back portion of my forerunner. So we're for sure doing that, and we'll probably visit my mom, even though a part of me wants to just go to Costco. Maybe go to Costco later, and then Max still has a 7-hour practice today since they decided to compete after all. And then I just finished a rough draft of a fund development report for United Parents. That's mostly for me, but I did want to present it to the board and the fund development committee so that they know, like, what to expect. So I wrote it the way I wanted to write it, which was the same way that I wrote the one for Angel City Sports. And I'm happy with the result of it. So I created a dashboard for myself to submit to board reports because I don't like the outline of the board report that I used for the past year. And so I'm like, okay, I'm changing this. So, and then in between, I think I'll continue deep cleaning, and try and work a little bit on the backyard. But I've got the gardener coming tomorrow, so he's going to do most of that. So that's on the agenda today. Trying to simplify it, but there's still a lot of moving parts.
Well, my inspiration has to be greatly enhanced. I got to go clean out 2 kitty litter boxes today.
Yeah.
Did I tell you I have discovered I'm both a cat and a dog person? This cat is
No, but
pretty
I mean,
amazing.
I figured.
I used to think I was just a dog person, but man, this cat is pretty special. Lucifer was special
Aw.
too, but this guy Tatami, man, he does things that no other cat has ever done.
Yeah.
He literally jumps into my lap 2 or 3 times a day and just wants to make sure that I pay him attention for like 5 or 6 minutes before he goes off and hunts down his next rodent.
Yeah.
And I've had other cats before, and my first cat was a rescue, very skittish, never jumped into my lap, only basically just just survived for a bunch of years until she turned 16. But I was happy to be able to give her a good life after she got severely abused the first 2 years. And then
Aw.
Lucifer was I think I told you a story, Lucifer. I found him at Tai Chi class between my legs at class one day.
Yep.
And so he lived to a nice 16-year-old plus age. But Tatami, he came around in August of 2021, hung around for 3 weeks, and then decided to stay.
Yeah. Aw.
Yep. Yeah. And now he's just one of my Goldens. All the Goldens were
Yeah.
asleep together.
Yeah.
It's so cool too. Whenever I let him out and he comes back in, you know how dogs have to sniff each other, right? And so see what's going on in the
Yeah.
world by sniffing each other's butts. Well, Tatami comes in and he goes to each dog and gives them a little gentle headbutt. That's his way of saying, "Hey, I'm back." And then they lick each other a little bit, and then he moves on to the next dog. And then he'll either, come and, pet my legs or jump into my lap. It's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm currently surrounded by my dogs right now. I've got a dog to the left, a dog to the right, a dog in front of me, staring at me, wondering why I didn't take them out on a WALK.
Well, they're thinking, hey, it's probably not too late. You might still do it.
I had a more sinister thought in my head for them. They were probably like, "You bitch, you're so lazy."
Oh, yeah,
Just
yeah.
on the phone all the time or your computer.
Nah, they love you. They'll never call you, you know what?
I wanted to tell Franz, like, highly intelligent people use profanity all the time.
Mm,
It's a mark of intelligence.
yeah, I want to apologize in advance if I ever did that. I think I refrained from doing so today, but I know I do it frequently in these sessions. Oh,
I
wait,
know,
no, I
but
might have
you
left it.
still
I
are
did it one
very
time.
smart. You don't use profanity like I use profanity.
Okay, so
You
you're smarter than I am then.
exactly. Based on my usage, I suppose I
Well, that's the correlation you're describing.
am. Oh my gosh. I have to show you I put up pictures on my wall. Um I have pictures here and there. Actually, one of the pictures was from Tyra. God, she's such a good artist. Anyhow, I hung one of the pictures and I showed her. But I have to show you I put up more pictures of my kids. I have these professional pictures that I took when I was in Costa Rica of me and the kids.
Hmm.
They're super cheap too. They're like $20 for like a gallery of pictures. And so I finally put them on canvas and had them blow it up, and they're now hanging on my wall. I'm so excited. So I want to get more of that high quality pictures, blow them up, and then put them on my wall of our vacations and all of that good stuff.
Nice. You turn
Oh,
your
and I
house into
also
a
bought,
museum.
yeah, I also bought like a small album, and I've got like random pictures that I've kind of accumulated, actual pictures. And so I started pl- pasting them into my album, and I'm happy about that too because now it frees up a little bit of storage space, and it doesn't, you know, have everything everywhere. So usually when I dedicate my time to cleaning, I also purge and make note of things that are, you know, kind of all over the place. Like my pictures, they were like in two, three different boxes. And then I make note of that and I tell myself the steps to organize and put it in one place. God, I'm so anal.
Is your Myers-Briggs type J?
What is that?
I'll tell you next time. My
I'm gonna look
Myers-Briggs
that up.
type is a P, and I believe you're a J.
So people who are J are highly organized.
They like structure, they like rules, they like plans, they like details. Yeah. P basically means you're more go with the flow, not quite so rigid. That's how it's characterized.
Yeah.
Anyway, I
Oh,
just
I
sent
see.
you a little short video.
Nice.
I don't have
Oh,
much
your
art on my wall.
picture is wow.
That's from a long time ago. But
Yeah.
I have a huge, well, not huge, I have like 20 pieces of art, probably around that. In all the time I've been here, I've been waiting to really feel settled down so that I can hang them up, and I've not yet done so. That's how
Yeah.
temporary I think of my situation.
I
Uh,
know. I need to make improvements to my house so when I gift it to the kids, um, they'll hopefully want to stay or at least keep it in the family. Or they can sew it off and purchase some more houses or land or something.
have they
Hopefully they
talked
can
about?
build generational wealth.
Well, Damien is. Wait, is he in college yet? He is in college, right?
No, he's going to be in college next year.
Ah, okay. So has he given thought to, where he might want to settle down, or is it that he's only familiar with Southern California and he's just thinking that he'll stay around there?
He said that he wants to stay in Southern California. He said he really
Hmm.
likes California. Well, not Southern California, just California in general.
Hmm.
I have to admit, I do like California of all the states here in the United States, but um, I could move to Washington. I could move to Colorado.
Hmm.
Um, I could move to maybe not Utah. Um, but anyways, I wouldn't mind but I would say that California would be my main residence. And then in a perfect world, I'd be able to move or at least work remotely, half of the year, either in another country or even in another state.
Hmm.
So if I had good money, then I would, buy another house you know, well, that dream unfortunately has ended, but something like the Duck House where you're at, or
Hmm.
there are some places in Colorado that are totally gorgeous. I would love to buy property over there, vacation property for me and the kids, um, so that if we had wanted to go somewhere, we can just go there, you know. And I say Colorado because it's a good drive away, or you could fly there. So
Hmm.
yeah, but so is Washington. If I could manage it, I would love to have a residence in another country, like Costa Rica, or maybe some of the countries you were talking about, and then again live there half the time and live here half the time.
Yeah, the more I look into it, the more attractive it is to, like spend a little time in Italy, spend a little time in Japan, a little time in Montenegro or Estonia or Latvia or Albania, even Uzbekistan. That's an interesting place too. And the more I look into things, that's one of the former Soviet republics that looks worth visiting. There's some that
Yeah,
are not.
I'm even thinking I'll just go to your place.
Yep, you're always welcome to visit, literally.
you know,
Hmm. That's why I always want a place with at least two or three bedrooms. Well, I'm
yeah, right.
probably thinking at least one of them is going to be for storage, knowing myself.
Oh no.
Either that or I'm going to have to find a storage facility not too far away. I mean, listen,
I,
it's a project of months for me to think about going through all my, two or three hundred boxes of books and putting them in the right place.
if you have not gone through them in a couple of years, then you could probably just toss them.
Oh
That's
no, that I can't do that.
so okay. I've got maybe two or three boxes of mementos and stuff like that. One of them is a huge tub of stuff full of the kids' drawings of when they were in preschool and kindergarten. And I've already gone through that box and thrown away some of their scribbles, like literal scribbles. And I'm like, I don't need to hold on to your scribbles. But I will hold on to some of the projects that were given a little bit more thought.
Yeah.
And I plan on putting all of that stuff in a big scrapbook so that you can condense it in one place. And if they want to keep it, then they have it at least for them or their kids, or they could just toss it, whatever. But I did my part, right? And I still have to go through that bin because that was round one. And I know that round two, I'll be a little bit more objective because more time has passed. So, same with my other stuff. I have like literally one box of things that I kept since I was like a teenager. Stories that I wrote, some of them are ridiculous. Um, what is it? Like thank yous and postcards and, letters from friends. I have like
Mhm.
big box of letters from friends, and I just think that's so cool. So that stays.
It
But I
is.
still have to go through that box too, to organize it mostly, but also to just prune away like all of that crap. Because if I die or when I die, I mean that none of that's going with me.
Yeah.
Like if anything, that's going to my kids. And the last thing I want is for them to just like sort through all of my shit and be like, Mom was a hoarder.
If you think you're a hoarder, I'm probably 10 times worse. I got to tell you a story. Okay. I don't think I've ever told the story to anybody other than, I don't know, maybe Gail one time. And that
Uh,
is when I was at Stanford. Maybe I did mention it. Stop me if I've already mentioned this. My senior year, I had taken so many, direct tech classes, science, math, etc. So I was lacking in general, classes. So I decided to take a political science class in my senior year. Does this
uh-huh.
trigger anything?
No.
So anyway, took a class, and the term project, of course, you had to, write a long paper on one area that you really studied in depth. So I decided to do it on Taiwanese independence movement and the politics in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, around that time frame. So I ended up learning a lot because that was very close to my family history because my grandfather played a significant role in Tainan, the city where my grandfather's hospital and my entire family grew up. So the short form of the story is when the KMT came over, in each town, after they incited violence, just the way ICE is trying to do right now, after they incited violence by picking out this one little old woman who was just selling cigarettes and they just abused her, the mob got really angry. And then the equivalent of ICE came and just went town to town to town to town, and they killed somewhere around 20,000 Taiwanese in that particular movement.
Um,
Nobody ever talks about this because it's not taught in US schools. But in Tainan, which is where my grandfather was, he tried to negotiate with the KMT to say, hey, please leave us alone. We're not trying to create problems. So in Tainan, there were only, and by some reports, and I don't have the exact number, only like 5 or 6 people were killed. Whereas in other cities, there were hundreds, if not thousands, of people killed. So my grandfather has a mixed legacy because the native Taiwanese say, well, he did a good thing by saving people from dying or as many people as he could. But then there's some really hardcore people that said, oh, no, he's a traitor because he actually tried to negotiate and communicate with the KMT. And what he should have done was just fight some more. So it took decades for his legacy to be, reflected fairly in history of Tainan. And now the more positive side of his contribution decades later is being represented in the books that have been recently being published. So all of that is to say that I had a strong interest in Taiwanese politics. So I looked into people who were being jailed, people who were being killed. There was a little place called Green Island that was basically a political penal colony where journalists would be sent, if they even wrote one bad article about the government. So I wrote this paper, and it was about a 30-page paper. I had all the resources, I had it well documented. And this, by the way, was before we had word processing. This is 1980, okay? Apple didn't come out till either 81 or 82, something like that. So I was doing this on a typewriter, and I was doing drafts by retyping the entire thing. It was a 30-page paper. It has stacks and stacks of index cards, which is how you did research back then. So
Right.
when I submitted it to my professor, he himself told me he did not know about this and that this is such important work that I should publish it. And he knew exactly who to send it to so that it could be published. Well, I was pretty happy about that. So I told my parents that I sent them a copy, and they said, do not, repeat, do not allow this paper to be published, because they knew that if this got published, my relatives on the island would be targeted by the KMT and harm would become them.
Wow.
So I went to my professor and said this, and he said, that's too bad, because he really thought it was a good paper. And unfortunately, I cannot find it. I didn't retain a copy. I don't have that paper
Oh,
anymore. There's not like a backup in the cloud that I could have had back then. You know, there's no such
yeah,
equivalent. I turned that paper
yeah.
in. I didn't keep a copy. I don't even know if he returned it to me. I don't even know if it's in the annals of Stanford or whether in a purge, maybe that got deleted. You know, certainly by now it's like 45 years later, 46 years later now. But I regret not having a copy of that. That's part of what, I don't know, that's an excuse, I guess, but that's why memorabilia to me, I can't tell whether or not I'm going to regret. This is standard pack rat, you know, thinking. But that paper in
The standard pack
specific,
rat.
I
Yeah,
regret not having a copy of that paper.
yeah. That sucks.
That was some of
Wow,
the best research I've
that's
ever done.
amazing. Wow. I would have loved
To have
to
a
read
Stanford
that paper.
professor tell you that, hey, this ought to be published work, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah. Aw, but your relatives would be targeted. Oh my gosh.
they actually would have been.
That's
In
just,
fact, I have gone to
yeah,
Taiwanese independence rallies in California when the Taiwanese Americans in the US were gathering to support Taiwan independence. The KMT from Taiwan would send agents to the US to attend these meetings and attempt to disrupt those meetings. Like I would be walking, I went with two of my aunts one time. We were in the parking lot. We were walking to the meeting, and this group of one or two really, really young, like in their 20s, you could tell they were KMT, would just get right up into my face, right up to my ear, start yelling, whoa, whoa, you want Taiwanese independence? It's not really good. You guys are bad people. Yes. They're trying to get me to get violent. And if my aunts were not advising me, I would have confronted them. But my aunts
yeah,
kept saying, just keep walking, don't pay attention to them, blah, 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 blah. So they were active in the US trying to disrupt. And not only disrupt, they were reporting our identities back to the KMT in Taiwan. So I know for sure they knew every one of my family and they were probably on some list.
wow.
People in the US have not grown up with that kind of experience in their family.
Yeah,
And I am actually ashamed and embarrassed that Jews who grew up with families, you know, having gone through the Holocaust, are now committing genocide themselves.
yeah, I know. I know.
It's like, oh, well, it's bad when it happens to us, but let's do it to other people. That's the ultimate hypocrisy. And those are supposedly God's chosen people. Fuck that.
Yeah,
If God chooses those people, I don't want to have anything to do with that God.
right.
Damn hypocrites. Sorry, I went caustic there.
Yeah, it's okay. It's totally fine. I mean, that stuff is important.
Anyway, I don't think I've ever told that. I might have told that story, but I don't tell that story very often.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you find it in all your shit.
I'll never find it. I'll never find it. It's one thing to move from one house to another house, but when you leave college and move somewhere else, it's a whole different experience. Because when you're in college, you're not thinking about that sort of thing.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. That's why I wish, there is a part of me that wishes I didn't, let certain things go. I told you, right? I had a storage facility, and anyways, I was going through a rough time, and I didn't pay my storage stuff, so I let it go. And I'm pretty sure they opened it up and threw all my crap away. Luckily, there was nothing that was of particular significance. I don't think they pawned any of my crap, but there were a lot of photos and stuff of me dancing. So,
That's a whole industry, by the way. I learned that because I lost a whole storage unit myself when my ex took all my stuff, moved it into a storage unit, and I lost it, when I lost track of payments for that place.
yeah, yeah. Oh, good. Glad it wasn't just me.
Pictures, electronics equipment, man, some really nice electronics equipment.
Hold on. Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
How are you feeling? Are you okay? Yeah. Okay. Will you be able to
Go
drive?
deal with your son, okay? We've been going for a while.
Okay, I'll talk to you
Go deal
later.
with your son. Okay.
Bye.
Talk to you later. Bye-bye.